All right, welcome back everyone. So we have the form created. We have our use client or client form. And in here, we're making the code to our moderate function, which we define back inside of our action file. So we're going to work with the OpenAI Moderation API now. So we can give them the text that the text from the post that the user is creating. And the moderation API is going to give it to the model, is going to analyze it, is going to give us back a result, and we're going to take an action or either save the post or throw an error if the post has been flagged by the model. So in order to get started, we are going to go to openai.com/API, and we need to click on Start Building. So for this, you're going to need an account. So you need to create your personal account, and you got to make sure you got some not tokens, but you need to have a balance. I mean, you need to have some money in the account, because you do get some free, but after, if you use them before, you'll probably have to add, I don't know, a few dollars, $5 to the account. But if you still have some free tier stuff, you can just continue working with that. So make sure you got your account set up and log in. Go to the playground in here, and from here we can go to the API keys in order to generate a new API key. Again, be careful with your API keys. Never share your API keys with anyone, but let's just do a new one for this video, and I'm going to remove it after the video is done. So here we're just gonna call this one social app for the API key, so I know which application is using this API key. I'm gonna create a secret key, and I'm going to copy that to my clipboard, and then I'm gonna bring that over to our file. So back inside of the .env file, we're going to create a new environment variable for this one. So this one, we're going to call it OpenAI_API_key. And we're going to set that equals to our API key. Save it, and should be good to close this up. And now we're going to go back to our application. Before we do that, in here, if you're kind of new, we have some videos that we went over how to create the account and everything on a previous app, but in here you have the documentation that you can go and find the moderation one somewhere here. There's a lot of them. Some moderation here. So the moderation endpoint is a tool you can use to check whether the text is potentially harmful. So recommend the reading on the documentation, of course, like always. Then you're going to get, when we send the text, we're going to get a response that is going to look like this. It's going to get an ID, the model that is being used in order, the moderation model, and then the results. So if the text is harmful, is going to be flagged. So flag is going to be true. If it's not harmful, based on the model results, is going to be set to false. If it's true, you're going to have some categories that you can check what the model said that is, if it's hate or harassment or whatever, is going to be set to true. So here violence was set to true, so the text could be violent or something. Then it's going to give you the category scores that you can use that in order to do any extra functionality on your app. So pretty straightforward, right? We're just going to send the text, we're going to get the results, we're going to see if it's flagged, and later you can expand on anything else that you want. We're going to keep it simple and leave you a lot of room for modifications and improvements. So that's where you can find all the information there. We're going to head back to the application, and then we are going to go back to the, and here server, what did I do now? Server import cookies, server.tsx. Where is this coming from? Util servers. You're importing a component that needs next header that only works on the server component. Okay, so this is coming from because we are using, this is a client component, and right now we have this function here that we're calling. So if we are going to, this is just a error from Supabase. So sometimes you will get this error if you're using the wrong client. So right now it's saying that we're using the server component inside of the server client inside of a client component, and that shouldn't be the case. So I think right now, where is this error could be coming from? I guess it's coming from here, but I'm not calling anything here. I have the call here. So let's try to continue. Let's import here. So things that we're gonna need. Let's see what we need here. Let's tap our terminal. So scroll all the way down in your terminal, Control C, and we need to npm I OpenAI, so we can use the OpenAI client as well. We have our Supabase clients, but we need the OpenAI as well. Excuse me. Let's run again our server and hide the terminal. Let's go back to the actions. So let's import OpenAI from OpenAI. And then we are also going to import in here. We need the create client, and we need the client one, not the server one. So we have the server one. We rename it to create server client, and then we're just gonna keep client, create client here. And what we're gonna do, before we work with the function, let's configure let's create our OpenAI client. So let's say const OpenAI equals a new OpenAI, and then call it and pass in a object. And in here, all we need to set is the API key, camel case there, to the process.env.open_AI underscore API underscore key, and that should do it. So this name is the name we use back inside of the .env file. So double check that name. And then what we're gonna do next is that we're gonna go down to the function here, and we're going to create the client-side client for Supabase. So we're gonna say const Supabase equals create client. Sure, using the create client from client. And let's save this. Let's refresh this up, see if we can get rid of this error. Let's go back to the home page. Let's check our terminal. This is still failing. So what can we do in order to hold this up a bit? Let's go and comment this out for now. No, this is way too much to do. And let's continue a little bit more. I think it's just getting ahead of ourselves. So create client in here. So I think what's happening is that I forgot to inside of the index.tsx. So right now we need to make sure we mark this whole entire file. We can just mark it as use server because it's thinking that we're using this in the front end. So let's put use server all the way up here. And okay, there we go. So by marking this whole entire file as use server, is going to be running these all these actions in our in server side. So when we need to use the client side here, we just going to maybe mark this one. No, this is server side too. We just need the create client here for this function only, and it should work fine because it's just this directive that we need here. Okay, let's continue. So the file is being marked as view server. Let's go back to the feed just to make sure we got everything here. We got our create server client that we used before. We got the new create client. We're creating the client for the front end here, and then we are going to continue working in here. Now we have the OpenAI created and initialized in here. So we're going to check. Let's make sure we got some text. So let's say if there's no text, we're just going to, let's just return, let's return some type of object with an error here. And let's say text is required just in case it doesn't get sent frame in there. So we're going to have that quick statement there. So here we're going to have a try catch. Let's console log the error. And now inside of the try is where we're going to start using the moderation API. So we're going to say const moderation results equals await. This is a async function already, so await, and then we're going to use the OpenAI client, and we're going to use the dot moderations API, and then we're going to do the dot create method, and we're going to pass it a object, and we're going to set the input to the text that we are receiving inside of the function here. So we're making the API call to the OpenAI moderations API, and we're going to console log the moderation results in here. And then we're going to have a little bit of logic in here to see what the result was. So before we do that, we're just going to see the console log, and we still need to do the Supabase here if the results are good. So this is good enough to maybe, let's see what we have in the form. In the form, we should be able to type, say, hello. Use some of the text here that I was testing out. So let's say, what's up? Something like this. And then we should be able to hit post. Let's see if we have everything here. So when we submit the form, we're going to call the handle submit, prevent default, set loading to true, set error to null, all the moderation, and console login. We're going to pass the text. So it's going to go to this moderation, taking the text, console log the text, check if the text exists, reach out to the API, and shows the results. So let's open up. No, let's keep this one open, and let's hit post here. Let's see what happens. And then here we got, let's see what we got. And in here, I think I have to change my, yeah, if you get an error like this, it's good that I show you this. It's because you probably don't have enough money available in the account. Maybe you run out of the free tier, you need to add some money to the account. So I'm gonna pause the video, I'm gonna switch my API key because I think I'm using the account that I don't regularly use. So I'm going to pause the video, but if you do get this error, you gotta make sure you have some money on your billing account on the OpenAI in order to use it. So you can add like $5, or if you have a new account, you shouldn't be seeing this error. So let me pause it here and change my environment variable to something that I can use. All right, so I updated my API key. So now we should be able to go back here and let's refresh the page. And let me say, so cool here, and hit pause. And then we get the results in here right away. And we have an object that has an ID, has the model, and it has the results array. And the first item in the array is the object that is going to say if the text was flagged for harmful or anything like that. And right now it says to false. So that's good. That means we are able to continue and store the post and show it in the screen for all the other users to see it. So with this in mind, let's hide the terminal for a bit. And in here, this is where we're console logging the results. We can keep the console log there and say if moderation results square bracket 0 square bracket 0 that results what is it complaining about? Implicit of type any, that's fine. Let's just have continue with this, that's fine. And then is no, because what is it saying? If moderation results that results, this is what we're looking for, square bracket 0 that flag is this is true. So what we're actually checking here, if the moderation result that results square bracket 0 is flagged, so we check in here, moderation results is this object, and then we do a dot results is this array, and then square bracket 0 is this object here, and we're going to check if this is true or false. So if it's true, we're going to check if it's true here. What do we want to do? We want to return, let's return a object, and we're going to say that is flagged is true. So we're going to send this response to our front end, to the back to the form. So flag is true, and the message is going to be your post contains inappropriate content. That's good. And else, so if this is false, so if the result is false, like in this case, what we want to return, we actually don't want to return anything because this is running in our backend. So what we're going to do, here's what we're going to save the text. So we're going to save this new post. We're going to say await Supabase dot from, and we're going to access our post table. Then we're going to use the dot insert statement here, and we're going to pass the text. And all we need to pass is the text because everything else has a default value. But if you need to pass any more values, you will pass it in here. Right now, we can just say text because the variable and the value in our database, they both code text. So this will do it. And then after that, we can just use the revalidate. So revalidate path in here from Next.js. Make sure you got the import all the way here from Next cache. And we're just going to revalidate the /feed page. And this should give us back a revalidate. Let me see, that should revalidate, so it should give us the results here. So let's try to refresh this here. Let's try to pick something nice. So cool, hit post, and we can see it in here. So if we look at the console, we see that the result was here. So flag was false. So if it's false, it's going to store in the database and revalidate the feed page. But if it's true, try something bad, like I hate you or something, just to test it out. Don't be mean. Right now we're still in here, so I'm just gonna, I gotta fix this here. We're gonna finish up in the front end here, but let's just try to click here and see if we can see. No, let's refresh this. So I hate you, something mean, but don't be mean, hit post. And now it's going to, so this is interesting. So it says that is false. It didn't find anything false. So if you're meaner, you will see that is going to flag it, and there's some settings that you can change for on the API. But right now this is being, it's not being flagged, and you can see, we can see the scores. So if we console log also the scores, we could see the results. Where's our console log? Console log results dot moderation, and we can console log that results dot, let's see what we have. If we have, we can go back to the documentation really quick, and we should be able to see results 0. So we can console log the same. So let's console log this here, copy that, put it in, where's my console log? Right here, results. So just square bracket 0, that categories or score. So you can see the scores here, or you can also see the categories. As well. So based on the text, the model, based on the context, and the result could be that it will be flagged or not, but based on what you type. So try not to be too mean. Not much is gonna be okay. This one passed, so let's try to refresh and say this again, and then hit post, and it's still passing, right? But we look in here, where's my console logs? We have the flag is false, this is the scores, and right now we have false, 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 everything false. So it looks like it got a really low score here, so that's why I didn't flag it. But because we're probably missing a little bit of context, but it will kind of work if you have, maybe it's already inside of a conversation, or if it's something more harmful that you put in here. So give it a few tries, and you will see how things are going to be flagged. This actually works pretty good. So just play around with your own. I don't want to type too many bad things in here. So just give it a few tries in there. So if you get something that is flagged, it's going to just return this object and it's going to give this back to the front end. And we're going to have this message that we can display to the user. So let's go back to the form. So let's put some / curly bracket ** so we can have some open, let me see, API, so we can have just a little bit of documentation here at the top just to organize this a little bit better. So right now we have a console log here. So this is a use client. So this is a client component. So we can look in here and we can go to the console. And if we clear this up and we say something nice, right now it's undefined from line 19. Console log result is undefined. So let's see if we are returning something here. Oh no, so we're fine. We should be just reevaluating the page. Okay. So what we can do is, if it's a message that is not flagged, we're just going to store it and revalidate the page. We can go back to the form, and what we're gonna do, so because this is true, we're not doing anything here at the moment. We're not sending anything back, but what we're gonna do, we can have an if statement here. So we're gonna check if, let's check if the result that flagged, if it's flagged, so we're going to set the error to the result.msg, so to this here that we're sending back if the text was flagged. And then in here we are going to set the loading to false, so we're not loading anymore. We already got a result, and we can set the post text back to an empty quote. Right here, argument type string is not assignable to parameter, no. So yeah, the only thing we need to update here will be back in the state here. We need to say that this could be null, or it could be a string, because here we initialize it to null, but then we set it to a string. So in here, we can do a little bit of TypeScript to say this could be null, or it could be a string. That should take that away. So if the resource flag, show the message, we're gonna set the message to on the state, and we're going to set loading to false, put the text back to empty quotes, else all we're gonna need to do is we can put the console log here. Now we can keep the console log up there. And then we can do else. We just need to set the loading here also to false, because we already got a result, and the result was positive if it's in the else, and set the post text to an empty quote. And we don't need to set any errors in this section, because we only need to set it if the result was flagged or is set to true. I think this is fine. We can do in the try catch, we can set if there's an error. We can also set error to be that message maybe, or we can just say let's have a error, let's say error, please try again. If for some reason Nothing goes wrong here. I think that's it. Let's see again. Let's refresh this. Let's try to say hello. Hello. New here or something like that. And hit post. It's all good. It goes here. Now give it a try with something mean. So I'm gonna put something mean here. Don't look at it and check in here. So right now, if we look at the results in here, we are going to see that my result was flagged. So it's true. So there is some scores here. This was in self-harm. This is all high up here. And then also we have our response from back from the in here, back from our actions. So if it was flagged, we're going to return this, and this we can see it in the browser. That says flag is true, and the message is your post containing appropriate content. And here we can show this to the user here, right? And you can see we didn't store that into the database. They could try again. We could say to be nicer to others or whatever you want to put in here, but right now we didn't add it to our database. So you can do more with this. You can store the, you can still store the post, and we remember we put that a value back into the database. If we look at the database, there is, if we refresh it, you can see all the stuff that you have in here, all the different posts. So they're being stored. And also we have a flag of value here that we can set to true if you want to keep it, but you only want to show the ones that are not flagged. You can do some of that logic too if you need to store the even the bad messages, just for whatever reason, in case you wanted to. But basically, this is everything we're going to need in order for the moderation to be completed. So in the next videos, we are going to finish up with CRUD operations for the database. So right now we can create and we can read our posts. We're going to also delete our posts and update our posts. So I will see you in the next video. If you want to continue with that, it will be nice to know how to do CRUD operation with Supabase. So that's it for this one. I'll see you in the next one.